shows, including the cartoon Paw Patrol, with the pup hero Chase drawing the most heat on social media. It's all part of this ongoing conversation of how cops are portrayed on screen. So let's bring in our guests this morning for a discussion around cancel culture. Joining us now, Lindsay Marie and Leslie Ricard-Chambers. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
I want to start, Lindsay, I want to get your take, first of all, as to how much is too much and if this is moving in the right direction or not.
Well, as a libertarian who cares deeply about the civil justice system in this country, and I'm very concerned about what's happening across the country, I can't say that I'm very upset these shows have been canceled. Shows like Cops and Live PD, they've been parading around human misery, and they've been glorifying force by the state in a way that I just don't find entertaining. What I think is interesting about this situation, though, is unlike other times when we've seen these shows canceled, there wasn't this mass call for the networks to go ahead and remove this programming. It was almost like these networks on their own decided to take a look in the mirror, do a risk assessment benefit analysis, and decide, is this something we want to continue with? And so seemingly what they've done is they've voluntarily decided to remove the programming with little to no coercion, which I think is the ideal situation.
Leslie, I'd like to get your feedback on that.
Yeah, I don't know about canceling Paw Patrol. You know, my daughter and my nephew love those shows very much. But I do understand the idea of canceling a show like Cops. Historically, Cops has always been that show that shows these super hero, sort of a renegade type cop chasing down the bad guys, beating them up, throwing them in the slammer. And I think that this climate is just not a good climate to parade a show like Cops, where police relations within our Black communities and other marginalized communities is just not a very good and cohesive one.
Leslie, let me stay with you for a minute, and then Lindsay will get your response. But, Leslie, along those lines, what's your thoughts when it comes to whether it be the networks, the executives, just giving into the Twitter pressure, whomever it is actually canceling a show like this based on public perception, as opposed to just letting the show play itself out? And if people are that upset, they're not going to watch it, the ratings go down, therefore they don't sponsor that show anymore. What's your take on that, the canceling up front versus just letting people stop watching?
I think that they're being proactive. I don't know that we're going to need to call it Twitter pressure. But I do think that they do hear the voices of those who are concerned. The protests recently have surged a major movement and has really called out a lot of the inequities between the Black community as well as the police, some of the police departments, and not all police departments, not all police officers, but there are some police officers in our country that go a bit too far when it comes to the concept of serving and protecting. And so that idea of serving and protecting is what these protesters, I believe, would prefer to get back to versus some of the more hardcore and unfortunate circumstances of individuals being killed by the hands of police.
Sure. And Lindsay, you feel free to respond to that. Also, question for you, when it comes to how much is too much and where do you draw the line? You see shows like Cops canceled, Live PD, and then people say, well, what about these investigative shows? Maybe they don't, like First 48, for example, maybe they don't show police actively chasing down suspects, but because they're police involved, you cancel that as well, or at least the call is there. You have individuals, obviously, that there are calls to cancel them. So where do you draw the line?
I think that's going to be a call for these networks to make. Obviously, they're going to have to look and see, is the benefit justified in continuing these relationships with law enforcement officers and their corresponding departments. One thing that I think we should consider, though, instead of always going to the assumption and the first reaction of removing programming, one thing these networks could do is add programming. One type of category that they could add would be shows that do look, at these systems and look at them critically and that show a different viewpoint that aren't really normally represented on shows like Cops and Live PD. Shows like Kim Kardashian West, her Justice Project, or Van Jones, The Redemption Project, or the movie Just Mercy. There's so many other things that they could be exposing their viewers to, and I think that's something they should consider looking at in the future.
Leslie, I'll give you the final word, and I want to end on a lighter note as well, because I don't know if you had a chance to listen to our last trending story that we had, but because you work for the governor down there in Louisiana, this call to replace Confederate statues with Britney Spears statues 25,000 signatures, and they say they're going to deliver it to the governor of Louisiana. Are you aware of this?
I am not. Britney Spears is actually her hometown is very close to the hometown that I grew up in, and I can tell you that if there's a statue that we are going to expect in her honor, I'm pretty sure Louisianans will be all for it.
Well, I appreciate both of you joining us this morning. Look forward to talking with you again soon. I hope you both have a great day.